Hello, and welcome to another episode of 5 Business Rules. I'm Nicole, founder and digital strategist with Socialite.
And I'm Monika Jansen, head kick-ass copywriter and strategist at Jansen Communications.
Doing new things with going online, as are a lot of people. So we thought we'd start by talking about 5 ways to strengthen your brand online. And what we're going to be talking about is consistency. Consistency. In using your logo, and using your styles and your colors. And this sounds boring, but it's important. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to read you a quote from the boss himself, Bruce Springsteen. He said, "Sustaining an audience is hard. It demands a consistency of thought, of purpose, and of action over a long period of time." And so, yes, he's talking about his music, but think of also what we're talking about right here is when you see that swoop, you know it's Nike. That's because they use it consistently and you recognize it.
Yeah, and that's more important than ever, to really have a strong brand online. Everyone's online. It's the only way we can interact right now.
So step number 1, create a style guide. This is the primary version of your logo, your colors, and your fonts, things that you should be using everywhere. Don't just say blue. Get down to the color. If it's either a 6-digit code or an RBG, whatever you use, you need to identify that specific shade so that it can be used consistently throughout the place.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say too about consistency is we're not just talking about your website. We're talking about any of your sales presentations. We're talking about how you present yourself on social media. You might be creating digital brochures right now, ebooks, white papers, what have you. We're going consistency across the board.
And so that rolls us right into step number 2. Now that you have your brand guide, take it and look at all those materials Monika just talked about and see where's your logo. One of the things like you might find is you say, great, I've got it all on my website and all on my social media, but then bring up your business cards. They look the same, or is it do you have a totally different font there? Is it you want everything to go together?
Yeah, exactly. The more consistent, the more professional you look.
Absolutely. So keeping down into that nitty gritty, now that you've got your basic fonts and colors, look at your imagery. Do they all go together? Or do you have like funny little elves on your email and pictures of buildings on your printed brochures, right? That doesn't feel the same. You want the same, not just look, but feeling, so that people have a similar interaction experience with you no matter how they interact.
Yeah, exactly. So you could find, like on a stock photo site, there might be one artist or photographer whose work you really like, plug into that stuff. They don't just put one image, onto a stock photo site. They have a whole portfolio. So you could stick with, one photographer or choose one filter, when you're sharing on social media.
And that's such a good point, because it rolls us right into being intentional about your graphics, specifically on social media and even more specifically on Instagram. But you could actually say this on your blog too. We're looking for, when you see a grid of images, do they all go together? And this can be simple of maybe, yes, you have some that are all of, I'm going to say buildings again, those are so exciting, but something you just took off your camera, and then something else you put a filter on and you put a logo and you put text over it. That doesn't mash up together. And so there's a new tool that I just learned about that I'm going to try, but I haven't yet, but it's called Relay That. We'll put it in the link so you can find that if you want to, in the show notes. But it's meant to be that you put your filters, your styles across the board, and then all of your images, they apply it for you. So it helps you be consistent.
But I've never heard of this tool, but that sounds like a huge, huge time saver.
Absolutely. And then last but not least is, we talked about how materials and fonts and displays go, but you also have to be consistent about your messaging. Recognize your voice, recognize the way you're talking, be similar. Don't be snarky in one place and be very serious in the other. Take some time to figure out how do you want to represent your brand, and then make sure that goes across the board. So consistency does not mean boring, but there are some rules to it. So make sure to follow them, and they will really help your presence online. So if you have questions, let us know, or if there's something else you want to hear about, we'd love to hear that too. But if this video was helpful, please like or share and join us next time. Bye.